You want to be very careful that you don't get emotionally tied to the house unless it's going to be your 30-year home and you know that you're going to live here for 30 years. The reality is this is not our dream home. Oh yeah, show them the closet there. The lights, I got to get the lights turned on. That's a little walk-in closet there.
Where are you gonna put your stuff?
Ah, funny. I get to put my stuff in the garage. Hey, let's go outside real quick. I'll show you what else sold me on this house. So here we are. We walk outside the master bedroom. We go into our backyard. And what really sold me was the shade trees. I love shade trees. This house has shade in the backyard all day long, no matter whether it's noon. There's also, I think there's some cows and horses on the other side here, which is pretty cool. Got a little shed there. I'll put all my stuff in the shed. How's that?
Perfect.
That's what I thought. So as you can see, you look at this house, you look, the soffit, the fascia boards are just corroded. Most people look at that and they get really scared. That's not really a big deal. Those are just wood that has been exposed to water that can easily be fixed. This house was made with a white brick. It's not actually painted, it's actually a white brick. So we could actually paint that. And so, anyways, like I was saying, when you're doing real estate, when you're investing in real estate, you do not want to spend more money on the repairs and the remodeling than what the house is worth. Okay? I'll give you some numbers here on what we paid for this house and what I've estimated. Because I am a real estate agent here in Texas, I'm also a realtor. I have access to a lot of information that most people don't, like the MLS and stuff, and so I can look up numbers really quickly to see what a house should sell for in the area. But like I was saying before, is you want to be very careful. Like you don't want to start tearing down, major walls and expanding rooms and building onto the house and whatnot, because when you do that, you're actually going to end up spending more money than what the house is worth. And so going a little bit further here, what we're going to do to this house is, because we are going to live in this house, we are going to open up some walls, but we're not going to tear them down. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here, we are going to be doing some paint. We're going to be doing all new painting. I'm going to rip out the carpet. We're just going to stain the concrete floors. I decided that because I am going to be living in the house, and I thought it would be a great feature when we do decide to sell the house later on. What I'm going to do things that are going to increase the value of the house. Okay, and there's certain things that you can do to the house that will actually automatically increase the value. A couple things are like granite in the countertops on the kitchens and the bathrooms. Updating the bathrooms and the kitchens, make them more modernized. You can do a couple things to the house itself, like maybe opening up this wall, putting a pony wall in here, making the room a little bit bigger. What we had an idea over here is we were going to open up this wall, just a little open up here so we could see into the kitchen, have a breakfast bar right here, and then this will be our formal dining area as well. Obviously new light fixtures, stuff like that. So these are a couple things that we're going to do to this house. Obviously, cabinets are going to be repainted, granite countertops, the bathrooms are going to be redone to make them look really nice as well. And so, just a couple quick numbers here. This house in particular, we paid $119 for it. Okay, it's about a little bit under 2,100 square feet. It's considered in the Upper Valley area of El Paso, Texas, and so the area down here is, I guess, pockets of areas are nicer. Or seem nicer, I guess, just depends on who you are and what your preferences are. The lots are a little bit bigger out over here, and so it makes it not so much of a track home feel. And so what I've estimated, now I've done all this before I even put an offer on the house, is I've estimated what the expenses were going to be. So I went ahead and since I've worked with contractors before, I estimate my cost, including materials, is going to run about $25,000, $25,000 to $27,000, okay? And I'm talking, this house will look brand new, you won't even notice the difference from when we purchased it. And so looking at that, knowing that we spent $119, we got about $25,000 into it. We're now right about $145, maybe let's say $150, okay? This house, once it's fixed up and once the landscaping has been redone and everything, will probably have a value anywhere between 180 and 195. Okay. The comps in the area show across the street there's some houses they're selling for 230,000, but those have bigger lots, and then even in back of us too as well. So that's kind of the numbers I look at. In the next couple videos, we'll go over all that. I'll show you how to find funding for your real estate investment. I'll show you how to find your real estate investment, and I'll talk about repairs and how to hire the right contractors to do the work for you. And so that kind of sums it up. Anything else, babe, you want to talk about?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope, you're good? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to interview you real quick because I want to get your thoughts on what you first thought when you moved into when you first looked at the house. And so let's go ahead and do that here real quick, and I'll get your feedback. All righty, you're on, babe.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kenya Lou, the other half, and here we are in, I guess, what is going to be my new house.
So, when we first looked at the house, I came out and looked at it, and I came back to you, and I said, babe, I think I found our house, and what did you say?
Well, first you told me it was a foreclosure, and immediately I was like, oh no, I'm not even going to go look at it. Because I don't think the way he does. I'm thinking, gosh, I have to move in here, even though it's a very temporary move, I have to live in it, and it's hard for me sometimes to see that potential on the bigger scale down the road.
Okay, so I brought you to the house, and you walked in, and you walked right back out.
And I think we got in a little fight.
I think we did get in a fight.
Yeah, it's scary.
So tell me, what was your initial thought? You walked in the house and you're just overwhelmed.
Well, there's a random wall that divides a huge room that's just weird. There's that whole room in there is like wasted space. There's nothing you can do with it unless you tear down a wall. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a nightmare. This foyer, it's like it used to be open to the outside, and then they closed it in. It's just very strange. Mm-hmm. And so, hated that. Then we walked into this little kitchen, and this is not my idea of... I like to entertain. I like to have people over, drink some coffee, have some desserts. This little kitchen, I need to be able to see my guests and it be one big open space and kind of, have more of an open, comfy feel rather than the kitchen being its own little tiny room. So that's why we're knocking all that down.
Okay, but you really weren't convinced until after I showed you some numbers and I told you, how would you like to make $30,000 to $50,000 in less than a month?
Of course.
And that changed your mind?
Well, yeah. And then, especially when you told me what I got to do with the money that we're saving.
And what did I tell you can do with the money you're saving?
Oh, I get extra money every month to do whatever I want with.
All right. So you see, guys, initially your wife will not be on board.
Some of them will. Some of them are
some
like
will.
you. Some of them see this.
Some will. That's right. Okay.
I'm not the real estate person.
Yeah. And so this does take some time. When you look at these houses, it is very overwhelming, especially if you haven't done this before, almost to the point where you feel like you can't do it. I'm telling you right now, that feeling goes away after you've been looking at quite a few homes. The more homes you look at, the easier it gets. And once it gets easier, you'll start to be able to look at homes in your area and be able to tell right off the bat, oh yeah, this is a good deal or this isn't a good deal. Now the homes exist, the good deals exist everywhere, okay? You don't have to be in areas that are, declining, you don't have to be in areas that are increasing in value. I mean, there are certain cities throughout the United States that are doing better than others. But like I said, we're here in El Paso, Texas. We have a thriving real estate economy. We have Fort Bliss military base. We have an influx of military soldiers coming in on a daily basis. I mean, we are experiencing, I wouldn't say a housing boom, but I would say we have our own little bubble that we're dealing with here, and it's a buyer's market, so it's doing very well there. We have a rental market that is doing really well. We have a shortage in housing and rentals. So, yeah.
One thing that we forgot to mention, we both work from home, and if you didn't notice, there's no office space in this house. So part of the $25,000 that we estimated is actually going to be creating a little bit of an addition outside for office space. So that's going to also increase the value, because I know when we were looking for homes, we had to have an office because it's just too hard to be productive and work from home if you don't have that space that you can escape to.
Yeah. So that patio you guys saw outside, we're gonna enclose part of that in for a home office. So that'll be nice. So, like I was saying, the real estate market, you're gonna find these houses in every city. Okay. I mean, there's really some cities you may have to look a little bit more for, but like I said, this was a foreclosure. This was bank owned. We found it. We moved rather quickly on this. And I'll talk about financing and funding in another segment. We're going to have a total of 3 more videos outside of this one. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to actually find your property, how to pay for it. And from that point on, we'll talk about what type of repairs need to be done to the house. And so, anyways, this is our home. This is going to be an interesting project, so hopefully you guys will tune into it. And we'll have plenty of opportunity, you guys, for leave comments or whatnot, questions. The whole desire behind all this is let's just help as many people as we can. There's so many people out there offering their real estate expertise, and they're charging all this money. And I thought, you know what, I've understood the concept at an early age, in my early 20s, and it's not that hard. It's just understanding you buy the worst house on the block and you fix it up. And the key is to finding the worst house in the block. And so with that information, I'm going to give it to you free of charge. There's no cost to this. I'm not expecting anything in return. In fact, I'll help you if you guys, leave me messages or whatever, and I'll give you all the advice that I can give you. A couple things I do need to disclose here: that I am not an attorney, so there's no way that I can offer you any kind of legal advice, and I'm not a CPA. And so I cannot tell you anything as far as your accounting and whatnot, what you can and cannot write off and stuff like that. So just want to disclose that because I am a licensed realtor in the state of Texas, and I am not a CPA or an attorney. So with all that being said, we're super excited, and hopefully you guys will learn a lot from this, and we'll see you on the other side.